Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. Again, thank you for joining us. My name's Bill Ellsworth. I want to introduce another gentleman on the other end of the line here. His name's Todd Weeks. If you look in your upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little orange icon with an arrow on it. Click that button and it'll allow you to send in some questions. Todd's been in the insurance business for several years. He's a licensed agent, still goes out in the field and sells, as do I. So he'll be able to answer your questions as we move through here. So to go ahead and get started, some of the things I want to visit with you about today is where this product's available, show you how we stack up against competitors. Probably going to show you most of these quotes today are going to be on a Plan G. It seems like Plan G is getting the most traction. There's still a lot of Plan F being sold. IAC's got a very competitive Plan F, but for time's sake, I don't have time to go through all of those. I want to visit with you about how we apply our household discount, different ways that submitting new business, and guys, if you've been with IAC or have worked with them, you know they've got several different offerings to help you get business issued very rapidly, especially when we're in AEP, how important that is, getting policies issued and not have to spend any more time than necessary from getting from one stop to the next, because it seems like this is when insurance carriers do about 30 to 40% of their total revenue for the entire year. And if you've ever worked on the backside of it, you would understand that it gets pretty chaotic in these home offices. We want to also go over some new hours that we have for AEP. We are extending those hours during the day and on Saturday, and then give you a contact sheet at the end of the presentation. Before we get into the meat of the material, though, guys, I want to let you know, if you aren't available, about the IAC Caribbean Convention that is being sponsored by Heartland Financial Group. We are taking a lot of producers to the Caribbean, Turks and Caicos. Haven't talked to anybody out there since Matthew went through there. I know it was not in the direct line, but I know it was in line to get some significant weather there. So by the time June rolls around, hopefully they'll be back up to speed. But beautiful resort. We went out and checked it out. That vacation spot that we've picked out for you guys, I think you're seriously going to have a great time if you're qualified for this or are on track to qualify for it. We aren't going to meeting you to death, let me put it that way. We're going to let you actually sit back and relax and enjoy the spot. It is absolutely gorgeous there. Qualifying was a minimum of 150 credit points. It started on 3/1/16, runs through 2/28/17. That includes you and your guest, the agent and one guest, and it is for IAC Medicare Supplement production only. The applications do have to be submitted by 3/1/17 and receive approval no more than 4/1, which shouldn't be a problem. If you look at the website down below, it's hfgapps.com. If you will go there, that's our app tracker. You can log on and see exactly where you stand for this convention. We have between 30 and, I think Todd said, somewhere between 30 and 50 producers that have already qualified, and we still got the best part of our selling season coming up, and we have between 80 and 100 on track to qualify. So we're going to have a great time in a beautiful resort, and I do hope everybody that's listening here will be there. We look forward to entertaining you on Turks and Caicos' Beaches Resort. So hopefully you'll get there. If not, look at and see where you're at, and maybe we can help you in some areas to get you on this trip. You're going to have a great time. Here's our product availability for where this product is available. As you can see, just about got the entire map covered. If you see a little yellow or orange dot in the blue background, that means that that state has a 7% household discount. There are a couple of states that have a blue dot on them, like Illinois, Ohio, New Jersey, North Dakota. Those states will not allow us to just do the one person need qualify. Two people do have to qualify for that event to get the discount. If you look in Idaho, there's no discount available. They were going to come back and say two people had to qualify to get the discount, so we just asked them to reduce the rates about 4% more so it would affect everybody, and we just decided not to offer a discount there at all. So orange dot, one person, blue dot, two people have to apply to get the discount. Okay, just real quick, I want to look at some Plan G rates in the state of California. If you look at that, you'll see that Combined is a little bit ahead of us. They have a 6% discount. We have a 7%. So by the time you apply that discount, not a whole lot of difference in the premium. Just to give you an idea, I've been selling insurance for approximately 32 years. I'm in my 33rd year. I started in October of 1984. And I sent off for a combined contract because they've got a fairly good product in the state of Missouri in the older age groups. I'm 3 weeks in just getting appointed and just now got appointed. Now I'm still waiting on supplies. I got a policy I need to go write Monday. I still don't have supplies. If you guys contracted with IAC and have a clean background, you found out that that's not the problem. Just like issuing business, you send the business in, we're going to get it issued rapidly. And I can't tell you how easy it is to do business with IAC. And again, I've had nothing but an issue with Combined. I don't have any debits. I don't owe any insurance company any money. Not got any black marks on my resume, but it's taken over 3 weeks to get appointed, just to get appointed with Combine. I've had people apply for IAC in the morning and write business that afternoon because we handle all the contracting here. It's electronic. If you've got a clean background and you get all the forms done on the electronic contracting, we can have you up and writing in a day to 24 to 48 hours is what I tell people. And guys, that makes a lot of difference to you and me as a producer. It's also your first touch with the insurance company, and it gives you a good feeling knowing that, hey, we got you up and running. Now get us some business, and we'll show you how good we can process that also. And I'll go through that here a little bit later on the different ways to process business, especially on the busiest time of our season, AEP. So you flop that discount on IAC in the state of California, that brings us in at $111.12. That's a very, very competitive rate. These rates are every one of those quotes on that screen are based on a 67-year-old female. It says Plan F, it's actually Plan G. Shawno, if you're listening, we need to get that corrected. It's female, age 67, in the lowest area factor. These are Plan G rates, not Plan F rates. Okay, so that's going to go across the board, looks like, with that little correction. Anyway, all Plan G rates, and if you look in the state of Colorado, one of our very good companies that I've done business with since 1989, Equitable Life and Casualties, in the driver's seat there at 103.16 on their Plan G. IAC is right behind them at 106.97 with a 7% household discount. As you look at those rates, the effective date for Equitable was 11/1/05, so they're coming up on a 1-year anniversary. We look for that maybe to tick up a little bit, not a lot, but when that does, that's going to throw IAC in the driver's seat. So add that 7% household discount, which Equitable does not offer. We are in the driver's seat at $99.48 for a Plan G in the state of Colorado. Kentucky, IAC's coming in with their Plan G rates at $97.30. We have a 7% household discount there. Only one person needs to apply, so a female Plan G, age 67, is, again, $90.49. Now that, guys, stop and think about that. The only thing they have to pay on a Plan G is $166 Part B deductible. I'm 64, I've got a $2,500 deductible, and my premium is over $700 a month, and I got co-pays. My wife just got her rate increase. She's 60, and she's going to be paying $923. So stop and think of what a senior citizen's getting benefit-wise for $90.49. Incredible benefits. So for one thing, I'm 64. I can't wait till I'm 65. My premium will go down in the $100 range in Missouri. So pretty excited about, not wishing my life away, but I'll be glad when I get off of this high insurance that I'm on right now. Anyway, Plan G, $90.49 with the discount in Kentucky. New Jersey, getting a lot of business out of New Jersey. If you look at the rates, Shenandoah Life is at $133.75. Bankers Fidelity, a good company out of Georgia, they are at $135.73. IAC out of Edmond, Oklahoma, comes in at $137.76 with a 7% household discount. We are extremely competitive at the $128.12 mark. And again, only one person needs to apply to get our discount. Or no, I'm sorry, in New Jersey, 2 people do have to play. That's a rule in New Jersey. So everybody has to, 2 people have to apply in the state of New Jersey. South Carolina, IAC comes in on their Plan G at $90.81. That puts us at $84.45. I look at those numbers, I just think, how in the world can any company do that? But when you add Manhattan's discount, that's going to throw them right there with us. And Bankers Fidelity, again, that right there with us. So what I'm getting at, folks, is between number 1, 2, and 3 there, and 4, and even 5, there's not that much difference in premium. But what about the processes? Again, I'm also contracted with Manhattan. It took me about 2.5, 3 weeks to get contracted with them. I'm trying to get contracted with Combine, and that's taken me over 3 weeks. So IAC, if you haven't contracted, if you're just listening to us for the first time, send your contract in here real quick and see how fast it turns. Same way with business. Now, do we have issues every now and then? As with any company, yes, that can happen. But as a general rule, you get business in, and if everything's filled out on the app correctly, and we don't have to call you back and say, hey, you forgot the Social Security number or the Medicare number or something like that, we're going to process that business and turn it and give you an instant answer. So very, very important in the Med Supp world. I will give you some examples here shortly when we get into this, is how you can virtually eliminate buyer's remorse. So price is very important, but process is also important. And as I tell new guys when they come in, you don't always have to have the cheapest price in the market. You just got to be a lot better priced than what they currently have. A lot of times you're talking to a 67-year-old, maybe they've had XYZ company and they've already had 2 rate increases. So the base rate has went up, the new rate may not. So a lot of variables go into pricing product in the field. Again, you don't always have to have the lowest price, even though we do a lot of times. You just got to be less expensive than what they currently have and offer good value and service. That's the most important part of this business, is the service. So in Texas, Plan G, IAC discount comes in at $87.37 for a, hey, we got it right on this one, Plan G, female age 67. So very competitive in the state of Texas. Now, I don't have time to go through 40-some states and put rates up there, so I just picked some in the east, some in the west, put some out there so we could look at them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this application. It's very generic. It's very simple and easy to fill out. As you can see, Part 1 is personal information. Part 2 is select the plan they want. We have 4 plans available in every state. Like Pennsylvania, we have to offer a couple other plans. In Wisconsin, it's a little different, but basically speaking, we offer an A, an F, a G, and an N. And then you go to Part 3, is their eligibility? Are they covered under Medicare Part A? If they are, put the effective date. If they're not, put their eligibility date. So very simple. Go ahead and get that in there. You move right through that application. Part 4 is the Medicare and Insurance information. We want to know if they're applying during a guarantee issue period. Number 3 is what kind of plan do they have under, if it's a Medicare Advantage plan or something like that. Number 4 will address a Medicare supplement, and number 5 is if they've had a group plan. So one of those is going to be filled out with a yes answer in most cases. About the only time it wouldn't be is if they're not on Medicaid and have no insurance at all, then they would all be no. But if they have insurance of any kind, it's going to be a 3, 4, or a 5 will be filled out yes, the other 2 will be no. Page 3, Part 5, general information. We will ask you, Bill, did you read Part 5 of the general information section to the policyholder located on page 3? If you say no, that'll stop the interview. So always say yes, but always make sure you read Part 5 too. Don't just say yes if you haven't done it. Basically, all you're doing there, the way I read this is if I'm talking to a policyholder, I'll say, Ms. Jones, first off, I need to read this to you so you're aware of it. So when the underwriter asks you if they do, you can say, yes, I was made aware of that. First off, Ms. Jones, you do not need more than 1 Medicare supplement policy or certificate. If you decide to purchase this policy, we always want to evaluate your current health, existing coverage, and decide if you need multiple coverages. I won't allow you to have multiple coverages because you don't need 2 Medicare supplements. So then you may be sometime in the future become eligible for Medicaid, and you may not need your Medicare supplement policy. Now, if that happens Ms. Jones, the first thing I want you to do is contact me. I'm going to leave this here for you to read this, and if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me. So that's how I handle that. I don't read word for word 4, 5, and 6, but I do make them aware of it. Part 6 is your guarantee issue eligibility. One of these is state-specific that applies to the state that you're selling in, and it talks about the things that will make that person eligible for guarantee issue. That's continued on page 4 at the top. Then we go into part 6, 7. That is your household premium discount. Pretty simple the way we go through this. It says, do you have a household resident, at least one, but not more than 3? And the reason we say that is because sometimes somebody will say, well, Mary lives in an apartment in an assisted living facility and there's 30 people in there. Does that work? No. We have to have people living in the same residence, not in the same complex. So if you have more than 1 but less than 3, or 3 or less, then they're going to qualify for the household discount. And it says they have to have resided there for at least 12 months. I had a situation just recently. The lady says, well, my grandson is 27 years old and lives here with me and has for several years. Does that qualify? I said, it does. With whom you resided and not either married to or in a civil union or partnership. So they don't have to be married. It can be 2 sisters or a brother and a sister living together, 2 men living together, 2 women living together, whatever. If they answer yes to the question 1 above, please fill out the following. We need the name, their relationship. Don't ask for a social security number, just a relationship, and a street address and city and zip code. If that question is answered yes, then they get the household discount. So then you drop down to your premium payment and admin. The only thing that I'm going to talk about really on this is you got a lot of choices down here. Let me hang on for 1 second. Right here, the requested effective date. If it's other than your application date. What I mean by this is, let's say you're selling a plan today for IAC, and you want a November 1 effective date. You need to come down here and tell me when you want my recurring draft date to be. Okay, so my example is you sell it today for a November 1 effective date, and you want your bank draft to be on the, say, the 5th of the month. In that situation, the underwriter is going to have a conversation with your policyholder, something like this. Okay, Ms. Jones, we're going to go ahead and draft your first premium within the next couple of days. Is that okay? She will wait for that policyholder to answer, because if that's going to create a problem, she'll tell the underwriter and then they'll work around it. So let's say there's no problems and she says, yes, that's fine. Now the recurring bank draft is going to be on the 5th of each month. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Okay, so in that situation, we'll draft now, and she'll explain this to the policyholder. And then she will say, okay, and then for December and every month after that, we will draft on around the 5th of each month. Is that okay with you? That's fine. Okay, now let me give you a different scenario to where you guys need to make sure you understand this. So if this comes up and you've explained it to your policyholder, no problems. But if this happens and you haven't explained it to the policyholder, you're going to get a phone call. So in this example, you write the policy today. You want a November 1 effective date. And at this time, the client tells you, well, I get my Social Security on around the 20th of each month. So let's make the bank draft on the 20th. So now here's what's going to happen. The conversation between the underwriter and the policyholder will be, okay, Ms. Jones, now we're going to draft within the next couple of days. Is that okay? And she says yes. And then she says, then we will draft again on the 20th of November for the December date. So now the policyholder is going to get 2 drafts. One now and one again in November, because we're going to draft it in November the 20th for the December the 20th premium. All companies are going to do that. That's not a problem if you've explained it to the policyholder. What's a problem is if you don't explain it to the policyholder and we draft them in the next couple of days and then they get a draft again on the 20th of November, that's a problem. If they don't know about it, they're going to say, hey, you guys have drafted me twice, right back to back. What's going on here? Explain properly, it'll be no problem, and you'll not have any issues. So just make sure you understand that. If you don't, go ahead and shoot that text into Todd and ask him that question again and have him give you a bullet point on it, and he'll be very good at getting back with you. Okay, household discount. I blew that up just so you can see it. Sometimes on there, the screen, it's not very big, but I think we've covered that. Again, we don't ask for Social Security number on the household discount. Just want you to be able to see that properly. Okay, so then you come into the application. Guys, gals, this is a yes, no application. The first question says, are you currently hospitalized or in a nursing home or assisted living facility, or are you bedridden or confined to a wheelchair? And they say, yes. Guess what? Time to go on to the next opportunity, because this one just bit the bullet. If they answer any of these questions yes, there's a good chance that plan's not going to get issued. You do have a shot down at question number 7, if they have diabetes with blood pressure. Have you taken more than 2 medications for either condition? If they answer that, yes. I have seen a few of those get pushed through, but very few. If they're taking 3 blood pressure medications and they're diabetic, that's usually a problem. But what they want to know, has there been any changes in the medications in the past 2 years? I am not an insulin-dependent diabetic, but I do have diabetes, and I take metformin, and I also take 1 medication for blood pressure. I could honestly answer question number 6, no, because I don't take insulin. I could also come down to question number 7. Have you got diabetes with high blood pressure? Well, if that was the only question, I'd have to answer that yes. But it says, if you have diabetes with high blood pressure, have you taken more than 2 medications for either condition? Okay, so I take metformin, and they put me on about 2 years ago, Invokana. You see that advertised on TV quite a bit. But the question states, have you taken more than 2 medications for either condition? That's the only 3 medicines I take: metformin, Invokana, and amlodipine for blood pressure. So I can still truthfully answer that question, no. So make sure you dig in and get proper documentation when you're asking these questions. The last thing you want is for a policy to get rescinded. We haven't had any problems with that. I just want you guys to understand that you dig in and ask those questions. Come down to question number 13, where it says right here, have you been confined to a hospital 3 or more times in the past 2 years? In my selling experience, I don't know how many times I've had asked a question like that, and they say, well, yeah, I guess I have. Let's see. So do I take their word for it, or do I dig in and ask the questions? I said, well, tell me about when you were in hospital. Well, Bill, let's see. I had kidney stones about 2 years ago, not quite, and I was in the hospital out here for 4 days trying to get those passed. And then I went in and I had cataract surgery at the hospital on my right eye. And then about 6 months later, I had cataract surgery on my left eye. Well, guess what? Even though we had those done at the hospital, those were outpatient surgeries. My wife just had her gallbladder removed. It was outpatient. Ask the questions. She was not hospital confined. So a lot of times seniors will, in their urge to be honest with you, they're going to tell you everything, but if you don't dig in and get the answers, you may miss a piece of business that you could place just because you didn't ask the right questions. So when you ask these questions, if you do get a yes answer, make sure it really is a yes answer is all I'm getting at. So do a good job underwriting, and guys, we're getting a lot of these policies. We're getting, as usual, we're going to get declines. All companies do, but we are issuing a tremendous amount of the business. I'd say we're in the low 90% of all the business going through are getting issued. Okay, then we ask about medications. Make sure that you fill out the medications if you're sending in the business on paper. We need to know the medication name. Take it right off their pill bottle. That's the best way. Make them give you their pill bottles if you're face-to-face selling. Ask them when they originally prescribed it. If you ask me when I started taking blood pressure, I'd tell you it was about 6, 7 years ago, maybe more. I don't really have a clue. Even today, I don't. But I know it's been more than 2 years, and that's what they're looking for. So if you say approximately 2010, underwriter's going to be fine with that. But if you say January 2016, they're going to have to dig in and get some information there because we don't know whether it's controlling or not. So I've seen times where we've declined and then go get a letter from the doctor and get it issued. So just because it maybe gets declined initially doesn't mean you have a shot. I know Jake Bailey out of Texas sends stuff to me all the time, and sometimes we win, sometimes we don't, but don't give up if you think you got a good case. Okay, Part 9 or Part 10 is your agreement acknowledgement, signed, dated, and it's where you sign it and the applicant signs it, and your producer statement. This is a standards replacement form. All companies have this. These are pretty well standard throughout the industry. I'm going to move right through that. And I want to talk about how we submit business. Guys, this is so important in the AEP when you and I are really pressed for time. Face-to-face selling, call center selling, and we also have the online capability now to do an online express app. I'll come back to that shortly. What are some of the benefits of being able to sell this phone over the telephone? And we have a lot of call centers using this process. Let me go back one. So some of the benefits are immediate results of the sale. It's a time saver for you or your client. Definitely can be a lot of less travel, especially if you get something declined and you have to go back and resell something that you thought you had sold, but it got declined. Let me ask you this, if you're going to get a declination, wouldn't it be better to get it while you're sitting there face to face with the policyholder so that you can reach in your kit and say, well, you know what, Ms. Jones, based on what you're paying, and even though we didn't get approved with IAC, let's take a look at AARP. They're a lot more liberal in their underwriting. I think we can get it issued. So therefore, by doing it that way, by knowing while you're there doing a telephonic app, or even if you're doing it over the phone, you don't have to drive back. You don't have to try to get back in the house. You don't have to worry about saying, say it took 3 weeks to get it approved. You don't have to worry about saying, well, you know what, I got a little nervous. I just went ahead and paid my premium. I appreciate you trying to help me. By getting that immediate answer while you're there with the policyholder gives you time to shift gears and go a different direction and still try to get that piece of business. It's also a great way for us to get you paid quicker if we know the policy is issued and approved. There, instead of having to do a 3 or 4 week underwriting process, we're going to go ahead and get you paid. One of the huge things that I've seen on the way some of my guys write and gals write, less mistakes on the application, or at least you can read it because it's all done over the phone. The underwriter's logging it as we go. Some of the most important things that you and I can do to make sure that not only am I ready, that the policyholder's ready, is to make sure the sale is made before the call goes through. Prepare the policyholder. Make sure that when the underwriter says, Ms. Jones, do you have your Medicare number? Oh, gosh, I can't think of that. Let me go get it. It's in my purse. Well, while you're in your purse, make sure you get your banking information because we're going to need the account numbers off of your check and make sure they know where their medications are at. We're going to ask this information. So if you're prepared, the policyholder's prepared, makes things go a lot smoother while you're there with them. And then also make sure that you have read the important statements and to be read and signed by the applicant located on page 3 of that application that we covered about you do not need more than one Medicare supplement policy. If you have to have a replacement form, if you're doing a straight telephonic app, then you can fax that directly to 385-207-7882. We can get you all that information. Don't worry about writing it down. If you need it, we have a contact sheet that we can send you. Another important thing, make sure you do not coach the client. They definitely can pick that up and spot that up. And when they think you're coaching, they pick up a phone and they call us and they say, hey, you need to call this agent and say, listen, we think you've been coaching the client. We don't want that to happen in the future. Very seldom does that happen, but it has happened in the past. Anyway, great process. So now what I want to show you guys is our electronic application. I'll get to it in just a second. But by using the electronic application instead of a straight telephonic application, and when I say a telephonic application, what I mean by that is I'm sitting there talking with Mrs. Jones face to face. She decides that she wants to buy my policy. I pick up the telephone. I give them my agent information, and I put Ms. Jones on the phone, and then she, the underwriter, on a straight telephonic app will go completely through the policy with her. She'll log every piece of information on that application. She'll ask all the health questions, or yes, no, and then she'll ask the medications. And if you hear all that, and then they start getting banking information, at that point, you know the policy has been approved. If that phone comes back to you strictly after the medications and the health questions, you need to dig in your kit and start looking for AARP because you just got declined. So let me tell you, one of the most important things that I think that you can do when you're doing a straight telephonic app. When that phone comes back to you, the agent, let's say that you've heard her ask the health questions, you've just seen the client read the account numbers on her routing numbers off her check and her account information given it, you know it's approved. When the phone comes back to you, the agent, I always put it on speaker at that point. You can't put it on speaker for the whole thing. They'll tell you to take it off. I've tried. Trust me, they'll tell you to take it off. So when it comes back to me, the agent, from a straight telephonic application, I put it on speaker, and at that point, the underwriter says, Bill, your policy's been approved. Give me just a minute, and I'll get you the policy number. So she comes back and she says the policy number is 2896344. And I'm writing that down on a piece of paper. And she says, okay, the effective date's November the 1st, and we're going to read recurring draft on the 5th. Do you have any questions? I do. Jose, let me ask you a couple questions. At that point, I'm going to read this back to him. I'll say, okay, Jose, my policy number is 2896344. It's going to be effective on November the 1st, correct? I'm going to make the underwriter answer that. Yes. So now, Jose, since we do not have any pre-existing condition waiting period on our policy, don't you think it would be okay for Ms. Jones and I to go ahead and contact her current carrier and cancel that policy on November the 1st? That would be fine. Okay, Jose, I appreciate it. Thanks. And I hang up. Now, why would I do that? Because I want that policyholder to know when I leave that she doesn't have to do anything. I've got her same benefit plan, maybe a better benefit plan than she had, a lower premium than what she had, and I took care of her other plan getting it stopped so she doesn't get too bankrupt in November. I'm eliminating buyer's remorse on her part. I'm doing things for her that a lot of agents don't want to take time to do. I'll also have her give me her card after the underwriter hangs up for her current carrier. There's always a toll-free number on the back. Pick up the phone, we call them, let her do identification purposes because they'll ask her, you know, put the policyholder on, let me talk to them. And then when I come back on the phone, I said, Ms. Jones is going to change her coverage. She wants to cancel her insurance. Do you guys need a letter stating that, or is this phone call good enough? Once they tell me that that phone call is good enough, or if they tell me I need a letter, I'm going to do one of those two things. But again, that policyholder is sitting right there listening. So when I leave, everything's good. Okay, so now let's talk about the time crunch we all get into during AEP. We have an online express app. I'll show you on your agent portal here shortly, and then I'll be done, get you back out in the field. We have a way for you to really, really shorten up your time, because if you do a full tele-underwriting call, it's going to be 20 to 25 minutes depending on the medications and how well that policyholder can hear, just little things like that. And if you're doing a husband and wife, it's about 45 minutes on the phone. That really can cause us some issues in AEP, because if you're like me, sometimes I'm already late for the appointment that I'm at. Now, we have given you the tools to where you can actually complete the policy online with the exception of the medical and banking information. So let's say you're in the home with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and they decide they want to buy, and you've filled out the complete app because you got to have a hotspot, you got to have internet access. So you have a hotspot, you're logging it on your laptop and on your agent portal, and you've got all the information in there except for the banking. The underwriter will get that and the medical. The underwriting part will then call your client within minutes, no longer than 24 hours if you just hit submit. And the emails results will come back to you in that window of time. Or once you've submitted everything and hit the submit button and filled everything out, you can do a three-way call. And now instead of being on the phone 20 to 25 minutes with each one of the policyholders, you're down to 5 to 10 minutes after completion of the online app. And then it's going to only be about a 9 to 10, 12-minute phone call because you've put all the pertinent information on the app, the name, the age, the Medicare numbers, their current information, everything except for the health questions and the medication and the banking, which that's all the underwriter really has to do at that point. So going from a 20 to 25-minute phone call down to a 9 to 10, 12-minute phone call really allows you to speed up the process. Now let me give you another example. Let's say you don't even have time for a 10, 20-minute phone call or a 10 to 12-minute phone call per person if it's 2 people or even 1 person. You are dead late for another appointment. You can fill out a paper app, take it back to your office, make sure you verify that they're a good risk, and because you think you're going to get a piece of business issued, that you've verified the health questions and the medications. Take all that back to your office, get on your agent portal that night, enter it, hit submit, and we're still going to make sure you have a policy approved in less than 24 hours. Guys, gals, that's huge. If you want to eliminate buyer's remorse, get the policy in the policyholder's hands as quickly as possible. That policy will get issued, the policy number will be issued, and you'll have immediate approval. A copy of that application is in the policy when it comes to you or the policyholder if you want us to send it to them. And it just is a great, great way to get business issued. And as you know, we have a couple of holidays coming up right after AEP or during AEP and after AEP, so it gets money in your hands quickly and helps you ease that crunch from the holidays. Okay, so here's what you're going to look at on the electronic app. You're going to go to your IAC agent portal. Go over to your support key. Drop-down menu will pop out there. You're going to come down to the very bottom where it says Online Express app. You're going to click on that button. You're going to have this pop up. You're going to click on Start Application. Then every state that you are appointed in will drop down in that menu. So you pick the state-specific forms that you want, and you click on that, and then that form will load on your screen, and here's what you're going to see. What's the applicant's gender? You click on Select, on that little arrow there, drop-down arrow, and it'll say male or female. What's the applicant's title? And it'll be Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. So anything that has a required on this side of the application right here, if it's a required thing right there, you know you got to put something in each one of these little windows. In other words, you're filling the app out online. You go right on down to the personal information, the applicant's social security, the Medicare claim number. Take a look at this right here. You've got 3 different blocks. If they have railroad Medicare, you would always fill out the number. It's always listed prior to the social security number. If they don't have railroad Medicare, we're looking for a letter, you're going to put it right there, and then you'll get a social security number going right here. Then you're going to come down to the applicant's title, their name, their date of birth, height and weight is all right here. Their street address, city, state, and zip code. You're going to log that in there. You're going to move right on down through the application. Daytime phone, evening phone. The evening phone and email address is optional. If they want email correspondence, we can do that. And then we're going to do our best to reach the applicant at that time if you put that in there. So then you're going to go down into your next information on the Medicare Part A. Once you click on this, if they are currently covered under Medicare Part A, a little calendar will drop down. You click on, say it was November 1, 2014. You put that in there. Same thing on our Part B. Did they turn 65 in the last 6 months? You'll have a thing that says yes or no. If you say no, it'll go on. If you say yes, it'll want to know when they turn 65. They'll want to know if you're applying on a guarantee issue period. Now, guys, let me tell you, this will throw you off every now and then. It did me a couple times. When you click on that guarantee issue period, a lot of people think open enrollment is the same thing as guarantee issue. It is not. So if you're doing a turning 65, and when it comes to that question, are you applying during a guarantee issue period, and you click on that, it says yes or no, and it's open enrollment, click no. If you click yes, then it's going to keep throwing you back to that question when you hit the submit button. If they're applying during a guarantee issue period, like maybe they're coming off of a group, or maybe they're coming off of Medicare Advantage, and the Medicare Advantage is withdrawing, and they get their letter from the MA plan stating, hey, you know, as of December 31st, you no longer have coverage. That's a guarantee issue situation. But turning 65, open enrollment is not guarantee issue. So If that says, are you applying during a guarantee issue and you have an open enrollment case, be sure and click no, or it's going to throw you right back to that when you hit the submit button. Okay, so then you go on to all the other questions that are on the app. You drop down to the bottom. Do you agree with this certification? Right there where my little yellow arrow is. Signed at Blue Springs, Missouri. My signature name will fill in there. You have to type your name in there, your phone number. Always put your email address so we can notify you. And then any comments that it says optional, but if you want us to, you know, if there's a certain time you want us to call, let us know. You can write that in there. A signature date will automatically fill in. Wait a minute. Where'd my submit button? There should be a submit button on there. I guess I didn't get it on there. Anyway, there's a little icon right there. Right, it should be right here that says submit application. Once you do that, it goes directly to the insurance company. It goes directly to the underwriting department, and when that happens, the underwriter will get it. You can wait a couple of minutes. You can call in and say, hey, this Bill Ellsworth, I just submitted an online express app, and the policyholder's name's Joe Jones, and they'll say, okay, right here it is. Give me just a second. Everything that you have is already filled out, and at that point, all they have to do, if you call in immediately, is ask the health questions, verify the medications, go over the banking information. Very good process. So that's one way to use it. You can also come back home with all the information, log it on the website, hit submit, and they'll make sure that that policyholder gets a call no more than 24 hours. And stop and think about that. You can either have an instant answer in the home, or you can have an answer within 24 hours of whether it's approved or not. Guys, that's so important in this business, getting that policy issued and approved. Okay, we have extended our AEP extended hours for the Tele-Underwriting department. We even are going to be open from Saturday from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. In the morning in Pacific, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday in Mountain, as you can just read over right there. If you're in Central Time Zone, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., there will be underwriters on duty. If those need to be extended, we have the flexibility to do that. So let's hope you guys are out there working and keeping these underwriters busy. But Monday through Friday, we're normally open 12 hours every day. Now you can see we are going 14 hours in every time zone. So we're out here trying to help you, the agent, get your business onboarded and issued quickly. If you ever have any questions, you can always get a hold of us here, or problems. We'll help you walk through them. We're very close with these back office people, and sometimes, I'm not saying every time, but sometimes we can help you persuade something to go your way. Sometimes we can't, but we do our best. Anyway, there's the map. And again, as you can see, just about every state out there, there is some talk about getting into Georgia here in the near future. I don't know if we will or not, but we might. I don't know why we haven't really, but Georgia and Florida are two different states, especially Florida. Anyway, last thing I'm going to leave you with is this right here again. I do hope to see a bunch of you in Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. Again, this is going to be a trip that we want you to sit back, relax, enjoy. We're not going to meeting you to death. We do have some things planned, but this is all inclusive. So basically, when you get there, guys, you don't have to buy drinks or food or anything at all. It's all provided for you and your guest. So we hope to see you in the Turks and Caicos, and this is a busy time of the year. Be sure and go to HFG App Tracker down there at the bottom, and it will let you know right where you're at, if you're on track or if you are needing to pick it up. But we know there's a lot of business written between now and the first of the year, so we hope to see a bunch of you there, and it's going to be a good time. Okay, there's our agency contact sheet. If you need that, Todd can email that to you. Send him a little note there. He'd be happy to send you notes or respond back to your, I think he will anyway. I think he gets a hold of everybody on the webinar to thank you for joining us. And then again, my name again is Bill Ellsworth. Todd, of course, is our sales director. If you need licensing help or supplies licensing, get a hold of Cindy at claster@iac-group.com. And if you need supplies, go to agency services at e-hfg.com. We'll get those to you. All right, guys, gals, that's all I have. I do appreciate you joining us. So happy selling. during AEP, and we hope to talk to you in the near future. Again, if you need us for anything, please don't hesitate to call us. We are here to help you any way we can. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.